All right, all right. Here we go. Thank you, and welcome to the Roy and Pete show. Even though Pete is acting like he doesn't want to be bothered and turning sideways, and not talking to people.
Welcome.
What's up on that? We are joined today by our producer. Say hello, producer.
Hello, everybody.
What your name is?
My name is Carol, and I miss
Hello,
guys.
producer.
And you what?
Carol, why you look all scrunched up?
Oh, that's because I'm on the couch.
She's not sure how to.
I care about you.
Well, we talked about this already. I told her 3 times, but she is trying to figure out how to do this at home Corona thing, and so this shelter in place ain't working for her, and her camera work.
Okay,
look, Carol, I care. I don't want you looking. You're going to be all scrunched up, looking like a little mushroom lady. I care. I care. Okay. Roy don't care.
And then we also have Miss Betty.
That mug.
Betty is joining us. Betty, pronounce your last name for us.
Ochoa.
Ochoa. And what does that mean? What that mean?
That means it's my last name. What you mean? What?
Does it have like McLeod? Like what is it? You know, Roy means Steve. My middle name means Peter.
It's Hispanic. I'm getting a call coming in, but anyways, it's Hispanic. And if you think of it, the number 8 in Spanish is ocho, and an A to it.
Got it. Okay, your video went out also, so.
That's because my brother's trying to call me.
Oh.
I might have to link back in. I think he's bringing me food, so this is important. I'll link back in.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
It's
All right.
Not that important. You know where you live, baby? You know where you live? Let me figure it out.
He wants my
He must have went to public school. He must have went to public school. That's what I'm thinking. If he don't know what to do.
He's a military Marine. He ain't gonna like that.
Oh, I see. My fault. I take it all back. You're right. You better answer that call.
You're gonna get a beat down.
No, it's too late. He'll send me a text.
I say.
That's funny.
Well, Pete, I appreciate it. Yeah, they're heading over now with the food.
And we all watch. We should televise it.
That's right. We should televise it. Carol, you're not on the screen. You've got one group on the screen.
So you know what she's doing, Pete? So what she doesn't realize now that she's actually on the camera, all that stuff she normally does behind the camera, ignoring us and doing other things, it's going to be seen. So the audience will see what we see now.
I was on the camera. I had put the camera right back. I propped the camera up so it could see me.
No, and then you start doing other stuff.
How did you know?
Because we were looking at you. That's what we're telling you.
Carol, just take the video off. Since you're doing other stuff, because when my brother gets here, I'm gonna take the video off so I can get my food. You know, I hadn't eaten all day.
Okay.
So I'm gonna get my food and I'm gonna watch.
I'm gonna be still. So
let's talk about this. So Carol, now you were talking earlier when we were talking off camera. You're talking about that some of the things you're dealing with, because we want to talk a little bit about this shelter in place order, at least we have here in Michigan, and I know other states call it other stuff, but basically it's stay home, stay safe. So you were saying that one of the things you've been trying to do is get organized and work around that. So tell us a little bit about your process, if you have one, about like going through your mail, getting that organized. Tell us what you're doing with that.
Okay, so basically I have some old paperwork, and I said this will be the perfect time now that everything is, calmed down with me, and I said I wanted to just go ahead and go through some old papers that I need to file or I need to throw out. Well, I went to the store, got my file folders and everything. I said, but the process of going through your paperwork is rather slow, because you have to maybe not read the whole thing, but read certain things. And what I didn't have in place previously was to put, instead of touching it twice, just touch it once. When you touch it twice, it takes your energy away if you have to touch the same paperwork twice. So I've done a lot, but it's still, I have a ways to go.
Okay, so Betty, so hers is that she wants to get to a system where she can read it and then make a decision, throw it or file it. So how do you deal with your organizational stuff, like around mail and that kind of stuff?
Okay, so 99% of the time I'm looking at the mail. If it looks like something that I need to address, I set it to the side for probably the next day. But if it looks like something that's junk mail, I shred it right away. Or actually I have a fire pit I put in a particular barrel, and I thing, and I burn it occasionally. But I
But
have
what you
just
just
gone through.
said, Betty, the key to what you just said is you look at it right away. And that's what, because of my schedule in the past, I didn't have time to look at it right away. So you're so right. And that's the only way you're going to keep up with it, because if not, you're going to drown.
When I had just been in my house that I'm at now for years. So during this time, I was able to go through the things that I brought with me. And one of them was an old box of paperwork. And I mean paperwork from a house I bought in
And she,
2000.
Betty's breaking up.
Oh,
Yeah.
and actually
the
before that,
Panera Bread
I got to
Wi-Fi
get done. What do I need to do? And it.
You stupid Pete.
I'm at home. Look, see in my house.
Pete,
Can you hear me?
Pete, you connected to Panera Bread Wi-Fi.
Down the street, Betty. That's what
Let
I
me
meant. That's
let
what
me
I meant.
just let me just cut to the chase. Is anything that had the date from 2018 back, I knew it wasn't going to be relevant because everything else is electronic anyways. Even your taxes, you can you can get transcripts of taxes. That's what I did. I don't know if that's correct. My financial advisor there one day, Roy, what are your thoughts on that, especially with tax records?
So
That's very good.
you can get a transcript, but I always recommend, as the IRS does, keeping hard copies for at least 3 years back.
Not 7 years anymore. It's 3 years.
They said at least 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What I like to do is I like to do it electronically though. So I just get a PDF of my taxes and put it in my email. I know where it is, so I can go back.
Yep.
Pete, what are you writing on your board over there? 3 Ds.
Yes, the 3 Ds for organization. This happens if you're dealing with regular paper. We've already mentioned all 3 Ds, right? Whether you're dealing with organization or you're dealing with email, hard papers, it does not matter. When you get the paperwork and when you decide to deal with it, like Kira mentioned that she's in a season where she's deciding to deal with it, you've got 3 Ds. One, if it requires your attention, well, and you got to figure out how much time you've got to go through this paperwork, right? If you've got, say you've got 30 minutes, right? Well, then you've got 3 options: do, defer, or delete. So Betty already talked about that some of the papers she knows she's going to do it and do it later. She's going to set it aside. That's defer. That means she can set it aside for different times. She also mentioned that the next thing she was going to do, some paperwork she was going to throw it in the fire pit and try not to burn down the whole community and have first responders coming out at this time in season and having to take care of the whole fire, right? That's delete. That's delete. That's the second one. And then the other one is do. And so when it comes to, like, for instance, your email, doing this and cleaning out your email, if it's something you can do in less than 5 minutes, you do it. So that's the 3 Ds of organization: do, defer.
Your sound went out, Pete. Pete, your sound went out.
So when you have something that you want to store in a PDF format or something like that, store digitally, this is my resource. This is what I'm subscribed to, Shoebox. So shoebox.com, you can subscribe to them, and all the mail that you get, you can send it to them, and they will save it as a PDF for you. Now, what you can simply do is have some kind of scanner, scan that information in or scan those documents in and save them that way. I've got a couple of different places. All of my stuff is saved, and I do mean all of it, is saved digitally. So when I get mail that comes in that I want to save it, I put it in an envelope and I send it off to Shoebox. So this is what Shoebox looks like. You send it to Shoebox. I wrote on here, return. Send it to Shoebox. They call it magic envelope. They take your paperwork. This one is full of papers that I have sent them. They digitize it for you, right? Save it up to the cloud. And then they send it back to you. So you have the hard copy. This gets stuck in the basement storage room or wherever. I never actually look at this. But what I have is, actually, here's one to be filled up, right? This one right here. It's called the magic envelope. You can see all of this month's receipts, everything stored in there. They save it digitally and send it back to me on the computer as a PDF file, so I keep my copies and keep it organized.
So how much does that cost? How much does that cost?
Various prices. The business edition which allows you to do a whole bunch of documents, like $39 a month. So for me, instead of sitting at a copier and scanning them in, spending a few hours to do that, it's more affordable to do that. They've got service. They actually have a service that's free. So a lot of them start with the free level. You can send them email receipts. You can send them all of these different types of things. But
is it only mail? Can I have them take notes, like my notes?
Yes. So what do you mean, your written notes? Yeah. So they will actually take your receipts. They'll take everything. So let me open. Well, you know what we'll do is I'll open this one up that they've sent back to me, and we can see what's in there, because I send them every sheet of paper that I get. You know what I mean? Literally every sheet of paper that comes into me that I want to keep, that I have not thrown into the fire pit. I will send them everything. So I will send them.
Now, is this month to month, or is this yearly? How do you pay?
Whenever you want to send them. Whenever you pay month to month. So in there, we got sets of business cards. I've got a bunch of they send it back all nice and neat. I just drop it in there and send it over to them, right? They've got any money orders that I've created, right? Because I don't want a record of anything when I'm paying off all my old children. You know what I'm saying? I just send it off. So SBS Vision, this is my prescription for my glasses. Anything that I had that I want to send them. This is when I got a ticket when I was at a traffic light and I'm fighting that ticket, right? I don't want that paperwork around. I sent it to them. This is when I went to the tailor, got all my receipts. I just sent it over there. They scan it in, put it back together really neat, and send that over to me.
Is that to their cloud, or does that come to your email? How's it stored?
Both. So what they do is they have a cloud service. They save it up to the cloud. On their service, you log in, press 2 buttons, you download a PDF of everything you received that month, and now you've got it on your cloud.
Got it. So all right, so ladies, there's an option.
We will put a link to that down in the show notes.
Say again?
I said we'll put a link to that down in the show notes. It's $39 on the high end. It starts. They've even got a free service, so they've got all of them.
But you know what? I have that Neat Desk, and I bought the Neat Desk a few years back.
Which is what? What is Neat Desk?
A scanner.
Same process.
Can one person talk, please?
Go ahead.
I did. A scanner that she can use on her own.
Right, but now they don't have the software to support it because they no longer allow you to do it on your own. They have a service just like Pete is talking about. So I bought that Neat Desk for nothing.
Right, and now you got to scan it in yourself, right?
Yeah, but where does it go? See, my thing is I didn't know how to categorize it. It's something to just scan it in. You need it put in files, so when you go back on your computer to look it up, you need to be able to go right to it, not just go through a bunch of junk. That's crazy.
Right, and that's why if you get a PDF, one of the things about PDFs, if you get a PDF back like Roy talked about, is searchable. I mean, you can get, Control F or whatever it is, and you can search a PDF. So I'll pull stuff up for the month and be able to search that. But you're right.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about this. I'm interested.
Good job, Betty. Good job, Betty. Good
Hey,
tips.
she had to get her food. Leave her alone. Betty, you go and eat. Ignore Pete. This is the
I'm good. Look, I don't have to eat right now. I just had to make sure I got my food. I'm sorry, Pete.
What you get?
Good job.
Homemade spaghetti.
Oh, nice.
With chunks of beef and sausage. I got garlic bread, and I got a side of chocolate mousse.
Ooh.
She said, ooh.
Curbside delivery from Betty's brother. Hey, that'd be a good name for the business, Betty's brother.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good name.
All right, so let's talk about a few of these, a few of the current events going on. Like, I'm just really interested to get some other people's opinions on that. So let's start with number one. We're all church people. If you're a church person, raise your hand. All right, if you are not guilty of having not listened to your pastor today, I haven't listened to my pastor yet. Anybody else? Am I the only one? Okay, good.
No, I listened.
I didn't listen today yet. I will listen.
I didn't listen yet.
I'm going to listen to my next. All right, so here's the question. What is your opinion on how church attendance, mosque attendance, whatever place of faith, temple people attend, what is your opinion on how it's going to look when we go back? Will people be clamoring because they've missed the community? Do they want to run back? Pete, I read something that you posted on YouTube, on Facebook today, so maybe you want to address it from that vantage point when you talk about the gentleman that you get coffee with every 4 weeks or whatever. But what do you think? What is your prognostication on what it's going to be like going back?
Ooh, big word. Okay.
Right. Teacher, could you break that down for us? What the heck?
Give me your opinion, people.
Thank you. I appreciate the words of education that comes from you, Roy.
Thank you. As a fellow educator, I appreciate it.
Come on. All right, who's starting? Y'all start. Go, Carol.
Ooh, no, Pete, I want you to handle that first. You my lead. Go ahead.
You're funny. Betty, go ahead. What you think? How's it gonna look?
Throw it back at me. Okay. I'll give it a shot. For me, I'm going to tell you first from my perspective. From my perspective, I think that people are going to be a little bit more cautious. I don't think they're going to be as ready to attend in an actual building and ours is a church. I don't care if it's a building or if it's a church building or where it's at. It's still church. I don't think they're going to be ready to actually be gung-ho and go. So I think it's going to be a very slow process where people will eventually start to feel a little more comfortable. The ones that do show up, I would say more recent than the others. It's just a matter where your faith is and what you've gone through during this. I really think what you've gone through, and if you've lost a loved one or if you or all that is going to come into place. That's just my thought process.
Well, you know what, I can step in there. I was thinking about that. I think it's going to start up kind of slow. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a little slow. A lot slow. And then people will gradually migrate in. One thing about it, we got a new normal. We really don't know what to do because you don't know you're going back to church, but you still don't know if somebody's dealing with the virus or whatever. Will we have masks on our face when we go back? Church people hug and God bless you. How you doing? The new normal is going to be, we just going to be doing elbow bumps because I don't see us going back to really hugging for a very long time, as we have done in the past. It's just, I don't know if I'm looking so forward to doing all that. I don't know. That's why I said, Pete, you go first, but it's just it's going to be a slow process. I don't think everybody some people may run back, but I'm not.
Oh, those people up in Lansing right now. I'm sorry, that's not loud. I'm going to put my thing on mute.
Oh, Betty.
Pete, what do you think?
No, I kind of agree. I think it's going to be, it'll be tenuous at best. People are going to go slow. They're going to take their time.
You said prognostication was a big word. Tenuous. Look at you. Look at using tenuous.
Uh-huh.
I'll be right back.
But we understood that. Go ahead.
Thank you. It was fewer syllables, Mr. Roy. Anyway, and what that may mean is, we can prognosticate and guess that probably the orders for the number of people in the church will begin to slowly expand. Like if they're going to have essential services and then expand the number of essential services, they're likely going to expand the number of people that they allow in at any one time or allow the groups to grow. So in certain states, even there's like you can't have more than 10 people in a location or more than 50 people in a location. That will probably expand. Say, okay, you can have more than 100, right? And as they keep the virus tamped down, and get all of these other things in place, then what they're going to do is probably say, okay, you can have 100, you can have 250 or whatever. And to be honest, so that will allow certain people in certain churches to come back, certain different size churches to come back. And then the larger churches, you take, the mega churches, the Word of Faith, and any of the, Brightmore, those churches will probably not even be allowed to come back to full capacity until around the same time you're going to have, athletic events come to full capacity, if you think about it. When high schools can have graduation ceremonies, and it might be past that time, you know, or athletic events at the smaller level can allow to go on, then you'll probably have those larger churches be allowed to have services. And who knows, that may be sometime. And so you just got to expect, for instance, if a church is only allowed to have 100 members and it's a mega church, they'll probably have 100 members in there, and those folks will be spread out and have social distancing, and we will have to practice some other form of a form of greeting for a while. So yeah, it's
how do you guys see the
well, I have a question real quick with what Pete just said though. So Pete, how do you determine which 100 people?
Right.
You know?
I mean, obviously churches will figure that out, but it'll probably be registered. You know what I mean? Hop on Evite. We got one space, and we got 100 spaces available, and the first 100 people that go on Evite, you know, will be allowed to come in. It'll probably be something like that. And then, you know, because I was thinking about this recently, and then you ask people, okay, if you came on the first Sunday, we ask that you not come in on the second Sunday, so another 100 people can come in. You know, it could be to this level. We just don't know. But
what do you think about? So with that in mind, what do you think people's reaction would be to staggering service? So like now, for example, certain churches could get all of the people in just at different times. So, you know, we've got this group coming from 8 to 9 a.m., this group from 9 a.m., you know, to 10, this group from 10 to 11. You know, would that be something that people might be willing to participate in, you think?
I do. I think I've seen Triumph do something like that. I went to Good Friday service. They had a drive-in service at Triumph, and I just needed to get out of my house and be able to get some good focused worship in, and so that required me getting away, getting in my car, driving to the location, and literally sitting in the parking lot at Triumph, turning the radio on because they had the service come through the radio, and being able to really focus and worship there. So I think that is a possibility. I think
Pete,
all
you
of those
didn't get up
options
and
are likely
stand up
to be used.
and turn your face to the wall. You didn't get up and stand because you know you. I can't wait. You usually sitting in your car. He usually stands to the wall. He loved us.
To focus.
Oh Lord.
In his mind, he was standing in his mind.
That's it. Come on, Betty. That's it. I had to focus, and I can't focus. That's it.
Yeah, you can't focus.
Absolutely.
That's the problem.
But Roy, let me ask you a question. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Roy, let me ask you a question on the staggering services, though. So, and I think it's a great idea. However, you're still going to run into, it's going to have to be, and I'm just throwing out a guess here. Maybe Pastor Cherie starts out, and then you preach, and then Pastor Chloe preaches the next one. Then maybe Will Bantam, Pastor Bantam. You know, I mean, it's going to have to. It can't fall on one person. I wouldn't think. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, you know, it depends on the church's. It depends on church's methodology. So you've got churches like a Word of Faith, like a Pastor Ken Locke, like a, you know, Ivy Hillier. These people are accustomed to preaching multiple services a day, right? And so if you get a 20, 30-minute message, 30 to 30, 45 minutes, whatever it is, you know, that can be done. But that'll depend on the desire for the leader in those facilities and organizations. And then I think how well it's supported by people. Now, I personally am volunteering. Pastor Sharice, if you are watching this, I personally volunteer to attend Saturday service. Okay? I will be happy to attend Saturday service. I just want to put that out. I'm the first one there. Okay. But you know, I think we could do a variety of things. I think this has opened it up. Pete, help me with this. If I'm correct, the model of church that we have, I know the model of education we have goes back to the 50s at least. So I think the model of church is like that or older. So this now gives us the time to rethink church. Like right now, like many people are okay with this online thing. I'm an extrovert, so I like people. I like connection. I like to be there. I like to me, when the Bible says, you know, don't forsake the assembly of yourselves together, it's saying, let's get together. But different people are going to be different things. But I also think that, you know, this ability to have live service and stream it for some people works for them. I know Word and Action Church in Akron, Ohio. What's his name? Vernon. R.A. Vernon. R.A. Vernon has a service people gather by the thousands to watch him on a screen, right? So, different strokes for different folks, but we could do, as you're saying, Betty, multiple teachers in the ministry on different days. So Friday nights, we have this group, and Saturdays, we've got a morning and afternoon, and then Sunday. So however you want to do it, but I think churches have the opportunity now to rethink and re-strategize about how they do it. They might meet in a marketplace. They might, as opposed to the church building, maybe we can go to a mall. I don't know. There are ways to think about it.
Roy's backyard.
Right, the backyard, right out. I'm all for outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
As long as he ain't got to mow the lawn.
Come on, somebody. The Lord bless me with people to mow the lawn. Come on.
That's right.
All right.
So then, having said that, I mean, one of the things too, this gives us the opportunity to be intentional about expanding our reach, right? Because this whole online piece has become real common in a short period of time.
Yeah.
So what I think about is, for instance, I have a friend, and her and her family, they started getting together on Zoom, right, and spending Saturday nights playing games and those types of things. So if you think about the generation or people that were typically left out of technology before, well, now we have this opportunity to make sure they're integrated in. So it doesn't even have to be go to the senior center, every week or whatever. But go to senior center, set folks up, make sure that they can use the services, use technology, use Zoom, use those things, and we can bring them into some type of semblance of community, because this has made it so easy or so common for all of us to
especially that community, because they would be the most vulnerable to something like the
That's
coronavirus.
right.
All right, all hearts and minds clear. I want to switch subject there.
Yes.
All right. So again, here in Michigan, we do the stay in place, stay home, stay safe. I think is what our slogan or whatever is. Other places around the country, they've got different slogans, but the same type of thing. Stay home. By that being as little as possible, leave your abode. Right? Don't go visit. Our governor's like, don't go visit people. Don't go to a second home. Don't get out on the boat. Don't get out. So many people have protested our governor last week because they thought that she overstepped. Right? So are we? Are many people in terms of government leadership? Do you feel that they're overstepping? Are they acting in the public interest for public health and public safety? What are your thoughts there? Because people are suffering economically. All kinds of things are going on with that.
That's true, but if you notice, okay, everybody's doing recreational. Look, she said, you can't even go to Home Depot and buy paint to work on your projects, because they found that it was too many. This is what I heard. Too many people were in Home Depot. They allowed too many people to get in Home Depot at the same time, which could endanger the people to the virus. Basically, because Detroit or Michigan was having such a higher rate, she went to the extreme. But I do understand why. It's to save lives. Did you see all those bodies at Sinai Grace Hospital? They just got them laying everywhere. Now, somebody took the pictures at Sinai Grace, but can you imagine those same bodies that are at Henry Ford? Well, not the same, but more bodies at Henry Ford, William Beaumont, and other places. So basically, I really believe she was a little extreme, but judging by everything that's going on with this virus, I understand why she shut it down like that.
People are saying, okay, so in Detroit, Oakland County, Macomb, because we see the numbers every day as they come out.
Right.
That is kind of concentrated in this area of Michigan. So there are people in more rural areas that saying, hey, we don't have as many cases, and that's not the case here, and you're locking us down when we should have the ability to do that. Betty, what do you think?
Well, I don't think it's extreme. I think she tried to get ahead of the process she knew that was ultimately coming by watching other cities and other states. So I kind of understand where she was going with that. Now the counties that don't have that you're speaking of, that have maybe a smaller population and they don't need, or they feel that they don't need to stay at home, maybe those individuals can go ahead and petition the governor. But here's my suggestion to them: don't leave your area.
Right.
Don't go from your little No, give me a little time, Roy. I don't know.
Well,
No little
just
time.
don't name one. Just your little area.
Yeah, don't leave your little bitty area. You know what your borders are. You stay within your borders, because if you're a carrier and you don't know, so you're asymptomatic, you decide, hey, I'm going to travel about 2.5 hours down. I'm going to go pick up this, and this, and you infect people that are outside of your area. Just everybody get in agreement. If you're on agreement, you basically have an invisible fence around your city and stay within there. I mean, that's on them, but personally, this thing doesn't have a name. It doesn't have no limits. God's totally in control. We all know that. But we've also been directed, and we still have to follow the rule of the land.
Right. Well, not only that, but biblically have wisdom and don't tempt the Lord your God.
Exactly.
Mr. Thomas.
Amen.
PT.
Yes, sir. So I think, well, there's a few thoughts that come to mind. Number one.
Wow, you have more than one thought a day? This not gonna make you sick, is it? Not gonna hurt you. You said a couple of thoughts. See, he's on overload right now. He's on tilt.
Lord Jesus, don't let me talk about little people. So what? I'm sorry,
Hey.
Come out. That didn't come out. I'm sorry, Betty. I'm sorry. So number one.
I ain't as tall as you, Pete, but I'm mighty in spirit.
So I wasn't talking about you, Betty. I'm talking about the little guy. I'm talking about Roy.
Oh, my
So
friend.
anyway, yes, your friend. So number one, the first thing number one is to me is that in this season I have come to say this about politicians. I'm giving them all a break. Because this is a once in a lifetime thing. They have no mentors to call, right? They can't call any former governors and say, well, how did you handle the last global pandemic, right? They have nobody to call. What did you do when you had to shut down the entire economy? What did you do? You can't call another governor and ask for advice because nobody has dealt with this before. So me personally, I came to this conclusion. I was talking about my sister in D.C., and hers at the time, her state wasn't locked down, and she said basically they're trying whatever they can because they don't know what to do. Exactly. And so for me, I'm just giving them all a break, right? I'm saying, okay, you're doing the best you can do. I thought it was interesting that when the governor released her order, there were some counties in the UP that said, well, we're not going to enforce it. And for me, one of the things I've learned, about leadership, it's better to come in with a firm hand and then lighten up than to come in light and try to get firm, right? And so here it is, you come in with a firm hand and you say, hey, I need everybody in the whole state to batten down the hatches, right? Now, your focus likely is on Wayne County. That's probably the focus because that's the area, but nobody quite like the urban areas. And I'm not specifically even talking about the outbreaks. I'm talking about the deaths and the lack of services. So when you do get sick, right? I mean, literally, personally, I'm not worried about Oakland because of the number of hospitals, the amount of money in those areas. You got the resources to take care of the people to get sick. My concern is the people in Oakland County because where did Carol just mention? Where the bodies at, right? So if that's your focus, you've got to communicate this message there. But here's the thing. If you say we locking Wayne County down, then you're going to be called a racist. Okay? Yep. So I understand she's in a no-win situation at all. She's in a no-win situation. So I'm just giving her a break. And now here, I'm in Washington County. I'm in the greatest city in the world, Ann Arbor, of course.
There you are.
Now, here's the thing. I drive around every day. Every single day. I'm in the office today because our entire building is empty. Number one, we were on the forefront of complying with the order. So I've got about 20 offices in our building, and this place was vacant. Right across from me, outside the window here, is the Department of Veteran Affairs. They cover a whole big old building, right? The first, and they usually seem like they had about 100 cars out there. That thing cut to 50 in like 3 days, and then by a week it had cut to like 20, and now they have no cars. And so what they were doing is they were shifting to remote work. And now literally there's nobody out here. So I will leave my house in the morning, every morning, and I will come into the office just because there's nobody here and I can work from home. So we were able to comply with that. Number one, some of us, likely we have jobs that still pay us. We understand the unemployment system. We can do these things. And in certain communities, they can't. So I'm in favor of the governor. I'm just giving the governor a break. Don't know if this is perfect. probably won't have a playbook for this until the next pandemic, and so
Oh, I hope we don't
I'm
have
not.
it.
Well, we do inevitably, about every 100 years or so, if not more. I give it a break.
So also with the president, right? So you've got a federal opening up of the country, if you will, and you've got a local, as our Governor Whitmer, in Ohio, Illinois, Kentucky, Milwaukee, I think it was Wisconsin. All of these governors have gotten together and they've come up with a regional plan because our economy is kind of connected because we share borders. That leads me to the next question that I want to talk about. So Florida, 2 days ago, opened up their beaches again.
The beaches.
The beaches are open 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. Then they close, and then they reopen from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. They're supposed to practice social distancing, and yeah. So what are your thoughts? Have you seen any of the pictures or video from there? Anybody?
I have. They weren't practicing social distancing. They were real close while they were walking on those beaches, unless that was an old picture.
Okay. So what is your thought about reopening the beaches?
I don't know. I don't
know. Go ahead, Betty.
Well, did they advise the C9 what do they call it? Now I can't think what it's called. COVID-19. Thank you. Yeah, I've been working all weekend on this stuff. I work in HR. But anyways, did they advise COVID-19 of the hours that it's allowed out?
Oh my God.
I mean, really, that's my question. Because all the studies, there's too many studies. There's too many. There's rhetoric out there about exactly how far this virus can go. On a windy day, 6 feet isn't going to be enough.
But they also say that if it's done properly, like if you're outside and there's a breeze, that dissipates it faster. Not getting it faster, but it also dissipates, so it's less potent by the time it reaches you.
I don't know. I don't really have I'm not risking it.
Right.
I'm in the over 55 club. And
welcome.
Thank you. Actually, I'm almost 60, but that's okay. I love that too. So my thought process, though, if they're going to open those beaches up and then this is a choice they're making, and if the consequences are of a negative effect, they have to deal with it. We don't. Just don't bring your butt up here to Michigan right now.
And Pete, I want to let you talk, but one of the things, like to me, is people are adult, and you should be able to make a decision. Just because the beaches are open doesn't mean that you have to go. Right?
Exactly.
And so because there's some people like, I'm using my faith in God. Okay. There are other people like, I'm not going to be in fear, like whatever their point is. And so it just depends, I think, that people should be, as the Bible says, fully persuaded in their own mind and know what you need to do. Lord is all right, Mr. Pete.
Betty,
I just dropped it. I was grabbing my water and I dropped. I'll show you my this, and it would be tin in the sink, right?
That's all right.
I'm of the same similar opinion, Roy. So one, we talked about certain areas. You talked about a regional plan, between Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, whatever it's going to be. That's no different in Florida, because this is not just people coming to the beach, but there's a certain amount of tourism, not just recreation, but certain places where recreational facilities open. That means that there's dollars coming into that area.
Businesses opening on the beaches.
That's right. Business open on the beaches. Exactly right. You got to buy gas to go to the beach. That means there's something there. You're going to So I don't have a problem with it, because here's a big thing. We're in America, right? And there are benefits, and there's also pain that comes along with freedom. You have the freedom to be stupid. That's why you can go 110 miles an hour, and you can do that on a public street and kill somebody, and so unfortunately with freedom also comes this responsibility, and it comes to a personal responsibility. If you're a young person, I just gotta get out of the house, I gotta go to the beach and hang with my friends and all that kind of, and you bring that virus back and you kill grandma. Unfortunately, that's the freedom that we are allowed in this country. And here's the other side of it. In China, they were literally welding doors shut, to keep people indoors, right? And that's one of the primary ways that they tamped down this virus. They weren't asking people to stay home; they were forcing people to stay home, and I'm definitely not a fan of that. And one of the things that they said I thought was interesting, there's this information about this and this about that and how virus. The problem is that we don't have a clear understanding of it. And so when I don't have a clear understanding of it, I think for me personally, what I want to do is be a little more cautious, especially because of the people around me. You know what I mean? Because of the people around me. I want to be a little more cautious until y'all kind of figure out what so there's some common things I look at. Well, this is, I've said it like this in my mind. This thing is as easy to pick up as a cold, right? But it is as hard to deal with as like double pneumonia. You know what I mean? This is just in my mind. So I don't want anybody who has, in my family to get this, because if you have any kind of immune issues or you're older, wow, that's a lot to fight off, as we said. But it is as easy to pick up as a cold. So that's why I got, these wipes here. I got 2 sets of wipes. That's why I got, the concoction here. It says Windex, but it's a special concoction with bleach on it. And that's why I got this. Now, this is in the office. This ain't even in the car and at the house, because when I come in, I'm washing, So for me, I'm going to be cautious. And then, of course, you got the mask, and there's even better mask when out in the car.
Don't you think it'll work better for you if you did it without the mask because you're so ugly that the viruses would run? No. You don't think it would work? Okay. I was just wondering.
I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement with Pete where he says you basically. I don't know what that stupid comment was, but people are adults, and if they want to be stupid, it's their choice. And I thought that was great because that's a perfect analogy. I mean, a perfect not analogy, a perfect way of stating it because you have a choice. My mother's going to be 80 this year. I'm not risking.
Right.
She needed, and I'm just sharing this because it just was something she needed paint. And as it was stated earlier, you can't get paint. Well, it happened to be the same color that I had, and I had like 3/4. I drove it over to her house. I called her. I put it on the porch, and I let her go and get it.
Yeah.
And she kind of looked at me, and I knew she wanted to hug. I said, "I love you." I said, "But I don't know. I don't know, Mom."
That's right.
I said, so, I gave it to her.
I forgot what newscast I was looking at, but they were saying, just act as if everyone has it. Right?
There you go.
So that's the mentality that I'm dealing with. I'm acting as if everyone has it. So if we are in contact, like Pete said, I'm masked up, I'm gloved up, and after all that, like I'm still doing all like in the car, I wash my hands before I get in. I'm gonna sanitize it once I get in, then I'm gonna wipe it down with the wipes, then I'm gonna do it all over again in reverse when I get out. But again, I'd rather err on the side of caution than to err and somebody get hurt.
I agree.
And also let me slide this in there. Where your caution in the case of both of you all, really it trumps love, because Betty, you want to hug Mama. You want Mama to hug you.
But that is love. That's a form of love.
That's a very good point. This is an even higher level of love. Yeah. We're not going to get this hug right now, but a higher expression of love in this case is, let's just step back, let's just sacrifice. And I've talked to a few people that are doing that same thing. I got some friends like, this is when I got to tell you what they're doing. This is so funny because Mama and Daddy, they want to hug, right? They want, and the family like, no, we're not hugging y'all right now. And so the family, they are meeting at a park to do a tailgate distance chat. So we got, I think it's about 3 sisters getting together, and the mother and father will be in another. Everybody's in separate cars because everybody is locked away at home separately, right? But they're all going to go to the park and stay in their cars, So it's out of the abundance of caution, and that's what we have.
I'm sure you got the same invitation I got to the wedding in a few weeks.
Yeah. Tell them about that. That was a very good way that they're doing that.
Right. So again, we'll be in the car. We'll go and celebrate with the couple, but everybody's just trying to make sure that we're doing all the things that we can to do that. I think that's going to be a very good thing. All right. So last thing for me is what are your thoughts now that first round of stimulus money has gone out? people, have gotten whatever amount of money they're going to get from this. What is your thoughts on, is that going to stimulate the economy? I mean, right now we're on lockdown. So does it help? Does it not help?
Well, let me jump in real quick. I don't think it's really going to stimulate the economy as well as they were hoped, but I do think it's going to help sustain those who definitely need it for bills until unemployment is able to kick in and or get up and functioning. Again, I told you I'm in HR, so I'm helping with the round of things that are going on, whether it's a layoff, a furlough, or things of that nature. And unemployment right now has been so inundated with claims that people aren't getting their money as fast as they would like. So I think that this right now came in a timely manner. So hopefully they're able to feed their children and go on some of the resources like DTE has something going on. I'm sure Consumer Energies and other places where you can ask them, let them know this is how you're affected and they can help you with your payment plan. But I don't think it's going to set the malls on fire.
Oh, exactly. So now there's also a center, and I forgot. Pete, you might know his name. I forgot his name off the top of my head because I should have looked it up before we got on. But there is a proposal on the floor to give each American household up to whatever the cutoff is, $2,000 a month for 6 months to help get through this. Do you know who that senator is?
No, I will look it up. I don't know if he's going to get that passed.
Yeah,
I will look it up.
Which is interesting because my thought is this, and different people have different things, conservatives and government, overreach, blah, blah, blah. But at this 2.2 trillion on its way to 6 trillion, at some point, my taxes are going to be impacted to pay for it. Right?
That's right.
And so since my taxes are going to be impacted to pay for it, I would rather you give me and other hardworking Americans a bigger chunk of it than these businesses. Now, I appreciate why you're giving it to businesses, and I understand it, but the household, honestly, $1,200 is meager. It is a meager amount, and this $12,000 seems like something much more robust over a protracted period of time, but as you were saying, to help people to meet needs, to pay for essentials and things along that line, especially in a state like this where people can't even get on the doggone unemployment website because it keeps crashing.
Yes.
That's right.
I agree.
So,
go ahead, Pete. No.
It's your turn. Betty's actually been talking, so it's your turn this time.
Yes, it is.
Whose turn? What y'all say?
Your turn.
All right, so a couple of things go with that. Number one, and let's be clear. When we're talking about when you talk about businesses, you're talking about the largest, the largest of the large businesses, because the average person works at the average man works at a business as well, and somehow we've got to keep those businesses going. Otherwise, this unemployment thing is going to be long term, right? But you're talking about the bigger of the biggest businesses. So and there should be some way, but I don't think we'll do it. There should be some way to tax the largest of the businesses, like a one-time tax to help pay for some of this economic recovery, right? And so, for instance, I was reading this great book, and it talked about the original tax system was designed not just 100 years ago, but way further than that. It was designed during times of war. So you're going back to the war with us in Britain, right? And the rich were taxed to help pay for the war effort. So if you think about it in context, this is a war, and it's been termed in these fashions. We've got an enemy, right? This is a war on this virus, and so to me, taxing the wealthy in a one-time fashion is not a bad thing. I've got a list up in front of me on the screen. The companies and this is just the amount of money that they have in the bank, right? Microsoft has $136 billion in the bank. Berkshire Hathaway, 128. Google, Alphabet, 121. Apple is 100. Facebook, 52. That's billions. So, and we're not talking about those are the tech companies that I'm talking about, and a lot of them generate revenues, and they're still going to generate revenues even in this downturn. Amazon had 43.7 billion. So, to me, there's nothing wrong with being appropriate and taxing them a certain amount. And so, some of this has to be crafted. Obviously, has to be crafted by government, but let's say, hey, we expect you all to maintain your level of employees, even if they don't have anything to do, because we don't want your employees adding to this national problem. But then there's going to be a one-time tax on you, you know, so that this can be smoothed out and offset across everybody. And then at the same time, you've got to figure out a way, because some of these jobs just aren't coming back, right? I mean, we're up to 22 million people that are unemployed, right? All time high. By the way, just historically, during 08 and 09, the last time we had a downturn, right when Obama was just taking office, the number of unemployed during that time was 600,000. That was the all-time high before 12 million. I think it was that 1 week it was 6 million a couple of weeks ago, then at 12, and now we're over 22, right? So this is unprecedented, and it's going to require some unprecedented help from all sources. I don't know how we're going to do that, or if we're even going to have the heart to do that, because in America the dollar rules. So we will see how things go, you know.
Excellent.
That's excellent. Yes, excellent point.
All right. Well, I think that's good. Any final thoughts from anybody?
Virtual hugs out?
Virtual hugs, but I just wanted to bring your attention to my board here, right? There's Pete, there's Kara, there's Betty, and there's Roy. That's real small for the short people.
Yeah,
I
I
just wanted
noticed
to let
he
you
had
know.
Roy real little. You better stop that.
Real little.
Oh, no.
Really?
No.
Really?
My ego doesn't need stroking like Pete. That's why he put his name first. And because Pete has no one to
That's
stroke
true.
his ego, he needs to feel good about himself. By the way, Pete Zilla, gas is as low as 88 cents. But anyone seen gas any lower than 88 cents?
I haven't seen no gas 88 cents. Can you tell me where?
Yes. So
Is that
at
Costco?
Sam's Club, it's 99 cents. And at Costco, it's 88 cents.
Okay.
I'll be there today. That's where I'm at. I'm at Costco. I got it last week. It was 109, so 88. Yeah. By the way, here's the thing. So this is a thing that Roy, you can consider talking about later. Gas is going to be down for a while, because there was this price war between Saudi Arabia and Russia, right? And Trump tried to intervene and settle the price war, but there's a serious war, and so the supply, there's a whole bunch of supply. There's just a whole bunch of tankers that were shipped over here, so that war is going to go on for a while. Prices are going to go up, you know, and so what that means for some of us is like, you may be able to get a car on the cheap because the auto industry is going to be able to be impacted. You may be able to get an SUV, whereas before you weren't trying to get it because it's a gas guzzler. You know what I mean? So there's some good things.
But that's only gonna last for a little while. That's
I'm telling you.
It'll be a slow.
I'm telling you, all gonna be low for a while, because they got the whole world's got to come back, and then they got to try to ramp up some prices. So I think it's gonna be a while. And then I don't ever think oil is going back to where it was before, back to $3-4 a gallon. But there's another economic factor.
It'll definitely go back up there. Trust it, without question.
Yeah.
Not to $4. Not to $4.
Shoot, it may go higher.
Without question.
No.
All right, Pete, and then we need to
$4.
connect. We need to connect later tonight because we didn't pick up from last week, so we need to finish what we finished last week. All right, so
what? I gotta talk to you again?
Yes,
I gotta talk to you again.
You'll be fortunate enough to hear my voice again. Yes. You go ahead and praise him right now. I know. I would be overcome with worship right now as well, but I'm me, so it's what it is. Carol and Betty, thanks for being with us today. We appreciated your input. It was great having somebody else deflect the demonic forces that are coming off of Pete. Don't put your until next week. This is your brother Roy. Hey, trying to say goodbye. This is Roy. And we'll see you next week. Remind you of this.
All right.
No matter what circumstance or situation you face, when you're facing with the Lord Jesus Christ, there is hope. God bless your bones. Bye-bye.
Amen. Bye.